Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. I know you had another Valentine's Day. One day is just not enough for love, is it? I'm not including y'all in this now. You keep on doing what you do. I've I just had such a good day. Uh, just a wonderful day. And I'm just delighted that you are here. And I use that word a lot. I say I'm delighted, but I actually am. And it means a lot to me. So it's a well thought out word for me uh, because I'm always involved in watching people's lives change. And if that doesn't delight you, I don't know what does. As a part of our Black History Month celebration, one of the key components of any healthy and wholesome growing community is how it raises up its young, its youth, its children and youth to take their spot in society. Many of us who are older were raised to get your education so you can get a good job. We weren't raised to go start a job or create anything. And the goal then was to go get a good job, work like a slave, and they would give you a limited amount of retirement which you contributed to. And because of Social Security, then you would be not willing, but ready to live a grand old life barely above poverty. That worked well for some people, but in some communities it didn't work at all. And so the people that we see today that creative, they're thinking that this job is not for me, that the job has a spot, but after that I got to go get it. And America, with all of her other issues, is still a place where you can go get it. And it's expected that you will. And I'm excited about the fact that I've lived long enough to be in a country where you can go get it. And I said, if I had been doing this when I was younger, I would be rich. But I got rich anyway. And I share that by saying, over the years, what God has given me, I'm rich. I don't have it all in one spot, but I had it. But I want these guys to get rich in one lump sum. I don't want them to get 50 years before they get rich. You know, get the big one and keep on getting the big one. And I'm excited about one day as they get more and more successful. I've got a bunch of pictures, and I'm going to come right up to you. I was here. You were here. Don't act like you don't know me, 'cause I got the proof. That boy right there, I got a picture of him. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was at Katie's graduation. He got this pair of dark glasses on, the great big old moon glasses on, and he looking serious. That thing is so funny. He's always been a character, both of them are, but that Jordan, that's some piece of work, but they have grown up and complement each other, encourage one another, face life together. And it has meant so much to us as a family, as well as the Palmers, as well as Shannon, and as well as the rest of the family. So tonight they are going to share with us in their own way, as a part of observing and celebrating Black History Month, entrepreneurship. And they want you to you just listen to them and listen to what they have to say. Now, in order for this evening to have in the real meaning, without looking at your device, you have to spell entrepreneurship. AJ. Yeah. See there? Yeah, see, just jump way out there. ERAT 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7. 7 Yes, indeed. So far, we had a perfect score. Nobody can spell it. So we're so thankful again that they're here. Brother Palmer, if you stay in the word of prayer for us. Amen. Thank you. And I'd gone to Fresh Market the other day, and they had some little, they look like oranges, but I can't, huh? Man, yeah, clim climate-acclimated place. Well, we had a few of them back there, so make sure, don't leave none of them, please, you know, so that just something for you to take home, that's all. Our first speaker will be Cameron. You're going to go first. Cameron's a small business owner, works at sports betting company in Chavis Park, employee of Chavis, and has and oversees a sports betting app. He started a black-owned clothing business in 2021, and he has a business and marketing certificate. Jordan is into personal training, kickboxing, started his personal training program in the summer of 2022, received 90% to gain his IFTA certificate. He's attending Wake Tech and will attend NCCU in the fall, and he got into training through his grandfather, Joseph Palmer. He's kickboxed since 2018 and trained in various forms of martial arts since childhood. So let's welcome Cameron Bennett.
Good evening. I got a couple of samples to show y'all. First, I'm gonna get into a little bit of my backstory, background, and then I'll save my own business for the end because I really want to spend more time talking about black businesses and black businesses history and why I believe they're important for a community. So I'll let Jordan pass these out first. Just if you want to see a couple of samples of the hoodies and stuff that I make, one of my best-selling hoodies that I have here. And then different T-shirts and the packaging they would come in with stickers and stuff. So you pass those out for me. Pass them around. Yeah, just pass them around for me. All right, I'll get my notes out first real quick. All right, so like I said, I want to talk more about why I believe black businesses are important, especially in our community and for us. So first I want to ask the question, do any of you know the first black business ever created in America? Anybody have a guess of what it was or what year? So that's close, but it wasn't officially licensed as a business. So it's not that. The first licensed black business in America was in 1881. It is E.E. Ward Moving and Storage Company. So it was a father and his son. They would help people move in and out. And they actually have one of their biggest warehouses is located in Charlotte, North Carolina, still to this day. I'll bring that up to ask, do you all know of U-Haul? U-Haul was founded 65 years later. So 65 years after E.E. Ward Storage and Moving. And they basically did the same thing. And so I mention all that to say, in black communities with black businesses, we should promote each other more and more. Where instead in many black instances, you see one second. U-Haul was founded 65 years later, but that's the one that we all know today. That's the one that you all have heard of. I even use them when I move houses all the time. I just moved from Greensboro back to Raleigh last year. We used U-Haul. But I had never heard of E.E. Ward Moving Company, and that company's still around today. So I believe black businesses are important, and they don't get enough recognition in our community stuff like they should. We don't promote them as much as we should, and we don't fund them the way we should. Many companies in America have become symbols of wealth. Like I'm sure you all heard of Gucci or Dolce & Gabbana or Louis Vuitton. And all those companies, they're, like I said, symbols of wealth for America and white Americans and in our country and stuff. They are companies that promote families. They carry families' names. So the families that invented those companies are set for life. They'll have generational wealth no matter what, whether we buy their products or not. because they've been established for generations and decades, and we don't have that with black companies. Of all Fortune 500 companies, only 19 of them have ever had a black CEO. And of those 19 black CEOs, only one of them founded that company. So it's only one black-owned business that's ever been a Fortune 500 company. And there should be a lot more of that. We should encourage other black businesses to get to that level of wealth and status so that we don't have, like, that's a huge discrepancy. And even last year, it was only 4 Fortune 500 companies with black CEOs. In Black Americas, we statistically spend more money on luxury brands than white Americans based off our population size. And in 2016, we spent twice as much money, Black Americans did, than white Americans did on Mercedes-Benz, even though we made up half of the wealth in America that same year. So it just goes to show how we spend more and more on these luxury items, luxury companies and stuff who don't need our money anyways. They will forever be set no matter what. The percent of black households, black households spend their income in 1984, 38% of their income was spent on housing, healthcare, and education. In 2019, that statistic raised up to 45%. Now, even though that's only a 6% increase or 7% increase, that's still a lot of money when you're talking about the inflation we have had since then and how much more expensive every other thing is, and like going to the grocery store is more expensive. Cars, housing, all that has got more expensive with inflation. And so that 6% or that 7% means a lot over that change. In 2019, a survey of 25,000 Americans showed that black Americans were 50% more likely to say that they had student or medical debt in their lives, and that debt had increased over the previous year. And that's 2019. That's statistics from before the pandemic. Since the pandemic, debts for all Americans has even gotten even worse. The black population, even with those challenges though, black spending on goods and services in 2019 were $835 billion. So we spent over $800 billion worth of products and services that we spent still, even though our debt had increased, even though we had been paying more money for housing and healthcare and all that stuff, we're still spending enough. $800 billion that's a lot of money. More money than most people will ever see in their entire lives, or even families will see in their entire lives. Black population, and the part of that is because the black population is growing stronger and faster than other populations in America. We're growing 2% faster than white Americans, which means also with that we are spending more and more money in the economy. All this will lead to a point where black people, and the black median age for black Americans is 34, which is 10 years younger than that age for white Americans. So eventually we'll get to a point where there are a lot more black people boosting the economy, paying and doing all different types of things for goods and services, which we need to use to put more effort into black-owned businesses to help our own communities and economies. A survey from April 2021 of over 6,000 Americans showed that black people were more likely to say that the products and services that are promoted and often encouraged to them do not suit their direct needs and wants. And that's a problem because as black people, we know what our needs and wants are. So we should be spending more money with black-owned businesses, supporting black-owned businesses that get to our needs and our wants. And then with those companies, when they do promote stuff to you, you go to a Target. How many times have you all been to a Target or Walmart or something, and the black products are locked up? And you gotta ask a manager or somebody to get a key so you can get what you need. Where if we had black businesses and we promote them more, that wouldn't be an issue. We're giving stuff to our people what we need, and we know what we want. That same survey showed that a lack of social justice and commitment were big issues for black people on what they said products they would buy or wouldn't buy. If their social beliefs did not align with the company, they were less likely to buy from that company. And if the company had not put forward social justice issues the way they had felt needed to be done, they would not buy from that company. Like again, with black companies, black-owned businesses, we all align pretty much more than more corporations would with us. Our interests will be more similar. So again, it just goes into how we need to promote and push each other in our own businesses and our communities. And instead of putting that money into the Dolce & Gabbana families or the Gucci or Louis Vuitton families, who put that money into our own communities to help build our own generational wealth in black communities. From a survey from 2018 showed that 59% of black respondents in that survey said they had been racially profiled while shopping. I don't know if that's happened to y'all, but that's happened to me a couple times. Get followed around the store or asked what you're doing, if you're actually shopping or just looking. And black people are more likely to face systematic and financial challenges to limit their wealth building abilities. So the more we spend putting our wealth, our free money, our extra money into our own communities and build those up, the better we'll be able to succeed for the future for our communities. We can build better neighborhoods, get better schools, and help our generational wealth grow. Because since slavery, we had to go through Jim Crow laws, segregation, all redlining, all these different things that kept us down to where white Americans got 400 years of generational wealth they got to accrue, and we did not get the opportunity. So now we should invest more into black-owned businesses to give ourselves those opportunities that were stolen from us from the jump. With all that said, now I'll get a little bit into my own company, my own business. So my clothing brand is Crooked World. This is one of my hoodies right now that I have on. You all saw what was passed around before. I got into like fashion or clothing, you would say, in 2015, my freshman year of high school. I worked for a volleyball company, and we did a lot of clothing for volleyball players and a lot of custom-made items and things like that. And that's where I got the real hang of like how to make the stuff myself. And then after that, just being in college, being in school, I just realized I didn't want to go down a path where I was listening to somebody else and taking orders every day the rest of my life. I wanted to be able to do something that I enjoyed, that I liked, and find my own way to make money. And so I bought the equipment needed and started working out of my grandparents' upstairs area, loft area. So thank y'all for that, for helping me. Yeah, even now, even now, all my products and stuff is still just sitting up in their house. So I appreciate y'all for being my little warehouse. But yeah, so I got into it. I just started selling little things. All the designs and ideas and stuff come from myself or my family members or my friends. And for any time my friends designs, anytime I sell a hoodie with their design on it and stuff, I'll give them a portion of that sale back, because it's really important that we do like invest in one another and create, allow each other to be able to create that generational wealth between us in our communities, build up the communities. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. I have hoodies, shirts, shorts pretty soon. I'm hoping in the wintertime we'll launch pants and long sleeves too. Yeah, I think that's all I gotta say for the business. Just thanks to my grandparents for helping me so much with it. Thanks to you, Jordan. Jordan helps me a lot with it. My mom as well. She's not here tonight, but she helps me a lot with that as well. Now I'll open up for any questions you all may have. Yes. I do have a website, and I also have stickers that I'm going to pass out. I'm going to make sure everybody gets one. If you want the website, I can write it on the back for you. Any other questions? Thank you, thank you. And to piggyback off what you're saying, like, you can go to major cities like New York and LA, and you'll see like a Chinatown, where it's a bunch of people from the same community who have similar values, and they use each other and they work together to create wealth for all of them. And we don't have that in black communities. And you mentioned the Black Wall Street, like Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we had that once before. We even, for those of you who might not know, we had in the 1800s senators in Wilmington, North Carolina were elected. And Black Wall Street and them, they got torched down. They got taken down just because we were black, for no other reason. And we were not given those opportunities again for another 100 years. So I think it's very important to invest more into black businesses and to keep black businesses around, because that's the best way to invest into our community and help our own futures. Anybody else with a question?
Please wait. Please wait.
I'm just so proud of you and being an entrepreneur, and the fact that you took the time to learn the history of black businesses. Sometimes it's kind of hard to find young people who are interested in the history. And once you get that history, it's like everything else sort of falls into place. You find that there's importance and an urgency into trying to preserve that history and carrying it out. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Hey, Grandma.
Hi, Gail. Yes, I am extremely proud of what you're doing, and I just wanted to share with everybody here tonight that I was at the Target over in Garner about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, and they have dedicated that whole area to about 15 black artists that, you know, it's hoodies, it's T-shirts, it's dresses, it's jackets, and I said, I went and looked at the prices, and they were a little pricey, but I said, I'm going to buy some. So I bought 2 items, and I'm planning on going back. But that's in line with what you've been saying. And, you know, we need to support each other. And these were all young people, you know, like yourself. And I just wanted to share that with everybody.
Yep. And even with stuff like that, like you'll see, it is February, so Black History Month. You'll see a lot of corporations, a lot of the major corporations will pander to black people now. There are like Bath and Body Works, there's their candles. It's the same scent that they normally sell. They just change the packaging on it to make it look like African colors. And stuff like that. Like, we need to, more than just them pandering to us for 28 days and then it's right back to business as usual. If we support each other in our communities, the businesses in black communities that are doing that stuff normally on a regular basis, then it's just gonna help us all down the line, our families, our kids, generations after us, even once we're all long gone.
I just wanted to know, how are you marketing your business as far as getting it out and letting people know that you have a clothing line?
Yeah, so that's the hardest part about any small business, is getting the message out, getting it known, and marketing out to the public. The easiest way for me, and the way I'm doing the most, is social media. So very active. Well, as of right now, my wholesaler isn't selling the hoodies, so got to get a new wholesaler. But very active on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, like just trying to post and promote as often as possible. And then a lot of it is just my friends. Like, I'll text a friend and be like, hey, bro, if you wear this hoodie and let me do a photo shoot for you, and I can use the photo shoot, and then you can send it to your other friends and stuff like that. It's just a lot of word of mouth, a lot of social media promotion. And again, if you all want the social media accounts like the Facebook or Instagram, I can give you that as well.
Cameron, I just want to say that I'm so very proud of you as well. And believe it or not, your mom and I used to do screen printing years back. I did it for 14 years, and Katie did it for about maybe 7 or 8. And what is your biggest challenge now when you're trying to balance not only just your business, but the other things that you're doing as well?
The biggest challenge would be balancing, well, like Brother mentioned earlier, I am working 2 other jobs. So the biggest challenge would be working those jobs, still finding time for my business, and just mostly trying to figure out what's going to sell the best, like what's the best to do. When I first started, I dropped, I want to say, 10 different designs. I might have had 4 of them that sold really well, 2 that were okay, and the rest didn't sell that much at all. So that's just the biggest issue, is like what is going to be sold, what people really want, and getting it out there and getting it seen by people. And you mentioned screen printing. So my stuff is heat pressed, which is a different process, but very similar. I want to get to the point where I can do screen printing because it looks a lot better and the material feels better and stuff on it. But again, that would just, I'm long ways from there.
You'll get there.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you very much.
Hey, how y'all doing? I'm realizing I should have gone first. I have no fancy facts like that for you guys, but I'm gonna try to keep it nice and short and sweet. I can see my grandpa's about to go to sleep already, so. Hi, my name is Jordan. I've been personal training for about almost a year now, coming up on a year this summer. And I really got into it because I saw how I could help a lot of people. My major is health and fitness science, so fit in my major. It's fun to do. I can help people. But specifically in the black community, we don't do enough with exercise. We're not too taught about exercise, and especially when we are genetically prone to stuff like diabetes, and we have the biggest obesity rates. There's a little facts for you. Other than other communities, I think it is important that we push ourselves in these communities, and in the health industry, there's not a lot of us. So when we do get ourselves in the health industry, it is big that we need to push ourselves and everything. So I work at O2 Fitness off of Falls and Deuce Road, O2 North Ridge, if you look it up. I've been personal training since the summer. I'm enjoying it a lot, having a decent amount of success. But I'm also mainly focusing on teaching kickboxing. So a lot of self-defense, a lot of stuff like that. So I got into teaching kickboxing because I enjoy kickboxing for one. And I think it is important to learn not only attacking techniques, but self-defense techniques. I mean, we live in areas where there could be very high crime rates. So it's always important to know how to get yourself out of situations if it were to occur, God forbid. But yeah, that's about it. I'm teaching kickboxing on Saturdays, every Saturday at noon. It's a free class to everybody. You can come in, learn some techniques, get a nice little sweat in, some cardio. I'm also doing, I've spoken to my boss. 1 second, please. So the biggest problem we have with getting our community in front of us is the cost of personal training. It is pretty pricey to see people, but I have spoken to my boss, and we came up with intro packages for Black History Month. So whereas I would normally charge $62 a session, which is pretty pricey, we are offering $30 sessions in packages of 3 sessions, 6 sessions, and 9 sessions. You also get 2 sessions free and a free session every month. If you train 3 times a week, you also get a free membership. Memberships will cost you upwards of $70, $80 to our gym. It's a pretty nice gym. We also offer physiotherapy for anybody who has injuries. I know my grandparents take advantage of the physiotherapy. We offer free memberships for people of a special population, as we like to call them. We don't like to say older folks. We say special population. So you can, if you fit into that group, we make sure we pander to that community. Make sure those people are staying healthy as well. So yeah, I have some pricing right here that I will pass around. Again, 2 free sessions anytime. And these are just like the basic intro packages. I don't like asking people for money, so anytime I can give somebody a deal, I'll try to. But yeah, that's about it. If anybody, also if you want to support a black-owned business, I have a kickboxing fight February 25th at the Durham Armory. Yep. So if you guys can come out and support, that would be awesome. I'll really appreciate that. First fight. And I get $5 on every $40 ticket I sell. So, but if anybody has any questions, we'll open the floor.
Jordan, tell us about your fight, your first fight coming up. Tell us about your mental and physical status right now. How you feel?
Pretty good. Well, thanks for that wonderful question. But I've been training for a long time, and I think teaching has really helped me with that. So honestly, I'm just can't wait for the day to come.
Okay, Jordan, I'm proud of you as well, and I noticed when I talked to you in times past, you shared with me that you have to maintain a certain amount of weight in order to do kickboxing. How do you maintain that?
a lot of cardio, sadly. Not eating as much as I would like to, so the carbs are kind of been cut out recently, which isn't fun. But yeah, basically that. And not eating my grandpa's cooking. If you guys have ever had my grandpa's cooking, it's not good to keep that weight down. But other than that, any other questions? MMA? Okay, so MMA is more of like, so MMA has takedowns, jiu-jitsu. MMA is more, kickboxing is a art that is used in MMA, but MMA is mostly every art form put together. So like you have MMA guys that only wrestle. You have MMA guys that only box, stuff like that. Yes.
How long are your sessions for working out?
So we offer 60-minute sessions and 30-minute sessions. It's kind of up to the preference. So the first session you'll have, typically the 2 free sessions, one of them is just a meet and greet. So we'll sit down with you, be like, hi, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve in the gym? And we'll kind of base a plan off of that. But I tend to not do that as a free session. I tend to do that and then 2 free workout sessions, because it's better if you can see exactly what I'm going to have you do, rather than a free session of us just talking. We can talk anywhere, honestly. But so we'll mostly promote we'll either push you for a 30-minute if we think that's what works best, or a 60 if we think that's what works best. But you'll just kind of sit down with us. We'll talk to you, see where your head is, and then yeah. And I think on that sheet it should say, does that sheet have the 60-minute and the 30-minute pricing on it? It doesn't?
No, it just says 12 sessions, 36 sessions, and 70.
Okay, so that's the hour-long sessions right there. I don't think I have the 60-minute one. I mean the 30-minute ones. But yeah, we offer 30, 60, and also 45. It's kind of, I probably shouldn't say this, but the 45 sessions cost just as much as the 30-minute session. So extra 15 minutes for free if you want to take advantage of that. Any other questions? Yes. Okay, so for our special population, we offer like 5 classes. We call them silver sneakers. Another nice way of saying older people. So for the silver sneakers, we offer 5 sessions. We also so we do a lot of like mobility stuff, because we know as you get older, you lose a lot of mobility. We do a lot of like cardio stuff to help cardiovascular health, because that's one of the things that goes down, deplenishes as age goes up. So it's like very catered towards what the older population would need to stay active, stay healthy, and live longer, prosperous lives. No problem. So basically for us, it's just a matter of like going to a doctor, and if your doctor tells you that you need to get in the gym, or that you're at risk for something, automatically special population will make sure we get you in there. But that's basically it. You get a free membership. I think the average age is around like 55, 60, around that age range. So you might be a little too young for that. Any other question? Go ahead.
I guess I'm special populations.
Yes. We still love you, Grandma. We still love you.
But Jordan is my personal trainer, and I've been going since last year. And I think he's up in the ante on me too much, because when I started out, he was doing me, everything I did was like 6 reps. And I'm up to 12 now, and I ain't been there a year, so I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, he's very good. He's very thorough. He's good because he'll talk you, tell you what he's going to do. And first he demonstrates it. He tells you what he's going to do, and he tells you what body part is going to affect and how over time what will happen. And then he tries to find out if you have any special consideration of things that you want to do, and then he'll incorporate that into that process. And I'm also in the kickboxing class.
Yeah, and if my grandma's coming out to kickboxing, I expect to see every single one of you guys come out to at least one kickboxing class. Any other questions? All right, that's about it for my presentation. I appreciate you guys for your time. You guys have a great one.
Since this is Black History, if you have a history of drop kicking people, this class may not be for you. We've been told to go to your brother or sister alone and work it out. Don't go down kicking people first. Talking about, well, y'all did have the class on Wednesday night. They did a spectacular job. And the best is yet to come. So we know that this is just the beginning. And, don't overlook us as a part of selling and launching your product. I mean, we won't know unless you share it with us. We're here for that. Anything you want me to wear for free, I'll wear it. So, even though I said that last part jokingly, these are the opportunities you have. Every time we have an event, your product should be here. Every time. Now, these are the kind of things that we're going to continue to do to be very, very supportive. We're trying to be supportive. We need to learn how to be supportive as well. I want to read something, and I need your attention. John Uchiwa moved to Atlanta over a decade ago, became as a church planter, but his call was much broader than that. By starting churches in broken down neighborhoods, he set out to make a sense of community and economic opportunity to quote unquote people that look like me. He then went on to launch a business which, with 5 other partners from Southwest Atlanta, is called Portrait Coffee. The roastery and forthcoming cafe, is committed to a new narrative for black coffee by recovering African origins in its products and bringing jobs and development to its neighborhood. So this guy's an African that came to Atlanta to start a congregation, but he saw another need. And so he and 5 business partners have developed this black coffee and cafe, and it's just a need for the particular product, but people who can identify. I thought about last night, I think I was looking at Anthony Bourdain. Still hard to believe he died. He killed himself over his girlfriend, being seen in public with a younger guy. Just a guy that I followed everything that he went all over the world. I mean, he just had a niche that was different, and I really could relate to the way he thought. It was just different. But what I was thinking about, how all over the world there are different ways of preparing food, and there's different places. And you go to Little Italy in New York, but in different places, you go to Chinatown, and all these other places, and even when you go to the Midwest, I just thought about Katie and the rest of us, Sylvia, Cece, and all. When we went to Chicago to the teachers' workshop in Charlotte, we went to Sister Tippins, about to break her arm back there. She was telling me, I went. But it's been a couple of years. We had 2 groups to go. It's been a few years. But we went to a German restaurant, and it was authentic German. And all of these places are not anti anybody else. They are just building up who they are. And I think that's what we're trying to say. The latest generation of black leaders in Atlanta whose faith motivates them to change hearts and change their neighborhoods, including the economic landscape. To these leaders, communities struck by financial downturn and generational poverty don't just need to hear that the Lord secures justice for the poor and upholds the cause of the needy, Psalm 140:12, or God will supply every one of your needs according to his riches in Christ Jesus, Philippians 4:19. They need sustainable jobs, career paths, and stability. So, Lecrae has seen this side of his hometown. He partners with Beyond Walls founder Terrence Lester to serve people experiencing homelessness and extreme poverty. And so the entrepreneurship ministry at Providence Missionary Baptist Church offers youth the chance to learn about different career fields, gain hands-on experience, and practice networking. Plus, the Southwest Atlanta congregation highlights successful business leaders among its members, offers resources such as career coaching, business coaching, financial literacy classes, and soft skills training. Programs like these are practical, and they feel the distance between where people are living in their lives and where they feel God calling them to be. In other words, the things that they do like this narrows the gap between, instead of God being over there, God is at work through what they're doing. And they have something to offer, and they have something to offer to people who really need it. And so it's a lot. This article probably is a little bit longer than what I want to go. I had to change my whole presentation because I was going to print it off downstairs, and that code doesn't work. So I just before it was coming, I was changing up, and I had to ask Sylvia to help me with some stuff because I was looking at the minute. I don't type fast. If I don't have somebody to help me, so we have some stuff that I think is important. That, again, I wanted you to take it home with you, but I think I only made 20 copies of this, so, read. You can just keep one per two people. Yeah, you can make a copy of if one person has it, take your phone and make a copy of it. You'll have it with you. So, Kenny, let me borrow yours for a second. So, what is an entrepreneur? You heard from those who already started. You heard about programs. But to implement, to support, to make something happen, we need to understand across the board that tonight is not going to be all that we need to do. That we really actually have to have a baseline to eventually make this happen. So any church that has a ministry, they didn't just do one session and they started a ministry. Now, some of these big churches got a ton of money. They can hire people to do this. But we have to have all of that. Just making our building available is a partnership. And hosting, we're located in an area of town where nothing happens, so we could have food trucks and vendors right here. And the reason why I'm sharing this stuff is I want you to get these ideas in your head, and something as a part of our outreach into the community should burn deep into you, because sometimes I get a little tired of reading about what everybody else is doing. There's no reason why. They're ordinary folk just like us, and they just have to decide, we're going to do that. So you got a whole building here. We built South Central Church of Christ to be a community outreach. It was built to be a place where the community taught English as a second language, and we had all these activities. We never visualized a building sitting here. That never was why we put all this money in this building, ever. So sometimes we're gonna have to squeeze and tell everybody, "Hey, hold up, we got church Sunday. Y'all can't be taking my. We got to have worship stuff." And we're thinking that's how business is going to be. So we never, ever, ever thought we'd get to this point in the building that's sitting there, and we're almost just paying for 2 days out the week. So, in rekindling this is where we've been. You remember we had the Rites of Passage program? Well, we had a Rites of Passage program where we taught our children in just even how to use a knife and a fork and so many different other things. Now, what has to happen, things like cursive writing is going away. It's almost gone. Okay, artificial intelligence is here. And there's no way you can say, "Well, I don't care." Yes, you do, because you won't have other options. Even now on your phone, it does things that you say you don't want it to do, but it's doing it every time you pick it up. Sit down. You be yawning. And when you get through yawning, your phone will say yawn away at the pharmacy. So be careful what you do, because your phone knows. And you wonder, well, where did I get that from? Well, your phone. So I gave you something I just at the last minute, because I wasn't able to give you what I wanted. I really wanted you to go home and do some work, because you had a worksheet, several worksheets. But at least think about this in terms of the definition of entrepreneurship, cultural environments, needs for success, the types of entrepreneurs, so that once you start talking about it, we would at least know what the definition is, what is the cultural environment, and what is needed for somebody to be successful. Now, I'm used to doing strategic planning, so that's what I did for a living for quite some time, and it really, really works. If you were hungry, what was the first thing you would do? Do what? Find something to eat. How do you find something to eat? How do you go to the store? How do you know if you got enough gas to drive there? Okay, and how much money do you have to buy the product you want? That's strategic planning. That's the logic model. That's what entrepreneurship is. What you just did is all of this stuff. And by the way, whatever code y'all come up, us old folk know when you're talking about us. I mean, that's just how it is. If you ain't talking about y'all, you're talking about us. We didn't get to be old because you can run stuff by us. We know. That's why we ain't buying no membership. We say, you membership that. The entrepreneur is a person who formulates a new idea and carries it successfully into the economy. The entrepreneur becomes aware of a need, product or service, creates a business enterprise to fulfill that need, and entrepreneurs do new things or old things in new ways, and so change the business system. So and then estimates probable importance of a product or service, estimates the demand for the product or service, knows how to produce the product or service, plans how to deliver the product or service, and only the entrepreneur has the vision, courage, ideas, and creativity to develop a new business idea and carry it to success. But they may not have the money. They may not have the people, resources. They may not have, and so anybody who's associated with us, you do have people, some financial, and the building resources. So when you're planning as an entrepreneur, don't overlook your resources. Don't count somebody out if they've been there with you all the time. It may not work out right now, but you can always say that next year at this time, based on what we've got coming, our calendar will be clear, and we will devote this to you and that to you and whatever else. But also, I want you to think about if you had an opportunity to be an entrepreneur, what would you have done? What was the one reason you did not? What was the group of reasons you did not? And learn from that, and then you bring in, and we can bring in others who are successful. Not all entrepreneurs, in fact, most of them will fail in the first year, even with the best planning, because they don't have the financial resources. I noticed within the last couple of weeks, there's a business, I think it's a bakery over in Durham, that was near closure, but another black business that had almost failed had sent her like $300 or whatever else. So people are anxious to help one another. They just need to know you have the need. They need to know you exist. So you have each of you. I'm talking broadly now. We have a church family. We have a network of other churches. We have so much going on, and we have to. We just got to get away from this Church of Christ thing where you sending out all this information to somebody in Durham and Greensboro who ain't never coming, and you have to develop a network in the communities you serve. Those are not our communities. I mean, we care about them, but they're not our catchment areas. We can't go somewhere and do something way up there. So we can't have this mindset of mentality, us is us, and we're just going to do a Church of Christ. Ain't that? It was never correct, but now it's going to kill us if we don't do what God would have us to do. And that is right here. We got to do just like Jesus did. Go into the communities in which you serve. So when the Bible says to the book of what? Ephesians and Philippians, Galatians, those are those areas. That's where they had to work. And we need to do the same thing. Questions or comments? Tell me your name again. Shantae, I couldn't say it. Mm-hmm. Thank you for taking us up on it. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah we Ashanti? And the downside is what you're talking about, Max Christ. I hate to say this, but none of us have ever cussed. So when you talk about people cussing, we don't know what that is. Could you give us an example? I'm just joking. No, I'm just kidding. Joe Palmer did it all the time. He did it for 30 years until we called his hands on it, and then he stopped doing it. Come right to church cussing. I said, man, what you doing? He thought we didn't know what he was saying. Yeah, we ain't the only one in South Carolina. Warren.
So, like I said, I was installing, and I was working as a electrical engineer, installing and servicing X-ray and cardio-surgical equipment. So I was in a lot of different hospitals and health centers. Okay, so I noticed that all the nurses were wearing white stockings or off-white stockings. I said, all these women wearing stockings, And I thought about it, and I was getting a tax return check, so I got a tax return check. It was $700-something. So I started looking up places that had pantyhose, and I found a pantyhose factory in Connecticut. So I called them. I said, I have $700-something, and I'd like to get these kind of pantyhose, And they said, okay, just come on up, So I went up there, and I gave them they took the tax return check, just signed it over to them, and I said, I was waiting there. I said, okay, where's my stuff, And they had a wall that was probably longer than that wall right there. And they said, that's your stuff right there. And it was piled up across the wall. And fortunately at the time I had a station wagon. I couldn't believe the stuff they gave me. I had a station wagon, and I was riding in the station wagon like this, going home. But I started, I found a couple of key people in each hospital I went to, and I told them, listen, I got pantyhose, and this, that, and the other. And I gave them the prices. I said, pass the word around, So I did so much business. It was unbelievable. But I had to slow down because what happened was I'm working, and I wasn't there at this one place one day, and the girl comes down, and these other guys are working, and they said, where's the pantyhose man? And next thing you know, I was getting called into my office. Like, what are you doing? So I had to kind of slow down on that. But I started doing a lot of other different things. I found out, hey, I could do, a lot of other things. I started in New York. You got the garment district. So I used to go down there and buy stuff and sell it out of my car, So there's all different ways to be entrepreneurs. No social media in those days.
Opportunistic. Your background made you prepared to be opportunistic, but many of us wouldn't do that because we're not cut out that way. But if you take that last sheet I gave, if everybody was familiar with that and had that kind of mindset, and if we did the kind of training, then that would happen too. Really, and because you need to be developed to do this. Now, some people are gifted. You skilled at doing stuff. You're just going to do it like that. But the rest of us can be successful, but we have to be trained to look for an opportunity. And you didn't. And so, again, all I'm saying is across the board that if we follow this up, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about, it's just a matter of being guided in the right direction, having the mind to do it. You already have the buildings to start off with, and we can start off, Ken.
Yeah, it made me think about the past couple of weeks because I did a program here with South Central with a small group of ladies, and now I'm just trying to go into other churches. And I have my own business mentor, knows someone who's already been in churches for a long time and does like marketing and branding and those kind of things. And so when I was talking to her about, she actually contacted me initially because of my work that I do with my business coach. And so when we were talking, I was like, a year ago when I told you once I'm ready, I'm going to be asking you about, what pastors need and all of that. And when she started talking, she was saying, a lot of pastors don't deal with discipleship because they feel like it's whitewashed versus actually having a program for Black people. And I never even thought about that. So when she said it, I was like, oh, okay. And then when I talked to another pastor, he says, well, most of those out there don't cater to our people. And so even when it comes from, I've already had a target audience from the individual, but I haven't dove deep into the pastor himself other than talking with you. And so having those different conversations, now that's a part of, in a sense, my marketing to say, this isn't, this caters to the African American churches that have this particular amount of people in it. So it just even having those interactions and being in those spaces as you continue those different phases, it kind of it shows itself what more of the need and more of the need and more of the need is. And so that even helped me with pitching a couple people that I'm gonna pitch in a couple of weeks. Just to even realize that even that part of the need was just discipleship period was a part of the need, but just knowing that it wasn't even the fact that there aren't certain things out there, it's just it wasn't catered to their demographic.
That's why I talked about culture. Everything just about you want. And that's also why I'm emphasizing what Anthony Bourdain, he went to everybody's culture. But we still all have the same human needs. It's just that somebody cooks noodles different than others, but we all have a need to eat, And but anyway, I don't need to repeat. You're just saying the cultural piece. And church is another culture. Pastoral leadership is a total another culture. You wouldn't have a clue. I can't even tell you about it because it's that vastly different. I promise you. Alvin is in town over at Southside, and he and I and Orlando and William had a lunch today, and we just had a ball because we're the only ones that understand the dynamics behind what we do and how we have to deal with stuff we have to deal with. And it's just sitting over there and Tupelo honey and just having a meal and just being together. We just always, so if either one of us invites somebody to speak, we do it on the basis also of the availability of the other ones. In other words, when they invite somebody, they want to make sure that I'm available. If I can't go over there in the evening, we can have fellowship. We do that. So that's the culture. That's a culture. And everything we do is a culture. Nothing is just happening.
I just want to say one more thing, that it's very important that we do promote children, especially that they can be entrepreneurs, because my day job is at Chavis Park, and every day I'm at work, I'm wearing my own clothing brand to promote to anybody coming in or anything. And we have an after-school program, and the kids come in, they'll ask me questions about it. But the biggest thing that struck me was most of them didn't know that being an entrepreneur was something they even had the ability to do. Like when I say to them, yeah, I just started a clothing brand when I was in school. I didn't want to work for other people. And so they always say oh, I didn't know that y'all could do that. What could I do? What business could I create? And so I think it's important that we also do push children, especially in our own communities, hey, you can do this. You can create something. You can build your own company. And we should encourage them more than we encourage them to, instead of working 9 to 5, we should encourage them, go create something, go build something yourself. Because I think it's very important, and they don't know that. We don't teach that enough to our own kids.
We don't teach it because we didn't know it. And this is important, very, very important. The world has changed, and it's changed right from under us. And we're, okay, get out of my house at 18, go in the military. You can't go to the military. The military that used to exist with all those soldiers, they don't exist. They get smaller and smaller because they're going with technology. I don't know how these mass deployment of 7 billion troops didn't happen. And they're becoming more and more tech savvy. So the ones who are in the military better have something. It used to be to avoid going to prison. You send them to the military. The military said, no, you won't come up in here. It's different. So teaching them, but we have to be aware of the lay of the land and how things are actually changing And there is something we can do about it. God is still God. God is the way God has always been. And if you trust him, we can and will do what we need to do to address all of these changes. We can do it. We have that capacity. We don't need to be scared and locked all up running from the devil. You lock the door, he's already in. So that's just how he worked. And so whatever we want to do, we're, again, Cameron, Jordan, you guys, can we give them just one more hand? Now you see you're part of something, right? Okay, so we got to be in this thing together. We made a commitment to you. We made a commitment of people, resources, building. So, and I need that sweatshirt. So, unless there's anybody else, beloved, thank you all for helping me and each one of you being who you are. And it's so heartwarming. And when we planned this again for Black History Month, God is just emerging. We're planning certain things, but the stuff that's happening, we didn't plan for it. It's just coming, and it's just coming. So we've flown in all the way from Salisbury. Our speaker for this coming Sunday, it was Katie Palmer, and Katie gonna turn it out. Yeah, she gonna turn it out, and we're looking forward to the things she has to say. It's about the Montfort Point Marines. Okay, so we are soldiers in the army. We got to fight, although we have to cry. We've got to hold up the blood-stained banner. We got to hold it up until we die. My mother was a soldier. She had her hands on the gospel fly. It's getting too good. Let's just stop. Beloved, let's stand. God, we just want to continue to say praise you, and praise you, and honor you. Here we are again, seeing and feeling your spirit in this church with this group and this people, washing us in the blood of Jesus and giving us the energy that we need. And when we go home tonight, may we go in peace and carry peace in Jesus' name. Amen.